You know, when you walk down a city street, the buildings around you are speaking a kind of secret language. It's a code that dictates what they're worth and who uses them. Well, today, we're going to crack that code. I mean, have you ever really thought about it? You see two big office buildings right across the street from each other. They look pretty similar, but one has rent that's through the roof, and the other is a total bargain. Why is that? It's not just random. There's a system here, a classification that smart investors and tenants pretty much live and die by. And that system, that code, is actually pretty straightforward. It's just three letters: Class A, Class B, and Class C. And trust me, by the time we're done here, you'll be able to look at almost any commercial building out there and know exactly where it fits in the puzzle, and more importantly, why that even matters. So let's dive in. Okay, so what are we really talking about here? At its heart, building classification is basically a grading system. It's not about how big a building is, it's all about quality. Think of it like a report card, and the grades are based on four key things: how old it is, where it's located, what kind of amenities it has, and its overall condition. First up, let's talk about the top of the food chain, Class A. If buildings were cars, this would be your shiny, brand new, top-of-the-line luxury vehicle. It is the absolute best of the best, the trophy on the shelf. So, what does it take to earn that trophy status? Well, for starters, it has to be young. We're talking built or totally renovated in the last 10, maybe 15 years. It's got to be in a prime, easy-to-get-to location, and inside, you're going to find state-of-the-art tech, beautiful, high-end finishes, lobbies that make your jaw drop, and awesome amenities. And of course, all that luxury means they get to charge the highest rents in town. So, who's paying those top-dollar rents? It's the tenants who need to project an image of success, of prestige. We're talking about Fortune 500 companies, the biggest law firms, major financial institutions. For them, having their headquarters in a Class A building isn't just an address, it's a statement. And what about from an investor's point of view? This is where this term cap rate comes into play. Just think of it as the building's yearly return on its value. For Class A, you see a low cap rate, around 4 to 6%. And that low number is actually a good thing. It signals safety. It means investors are willing to pay a huge premium because they're getting a super valuable property with really stable, predictable income. It's the blue chip stock of real estate. All right, next up we have Class B. Now, if Class A is the flashy luxury car, then Class B is that reliable, certified pre-owned model. You know, it's not going to turn every head on the street, but it's a dependable workhorse that serves a massive part of the market. Class B buildings are a little older, usually somewhere between 15 and 30 years old. They're in good locations, just not the absolute tippity-top premium spots. The systems inside are functional, the finishes are perfectly fine, and the amenities are pretty standard. The key here, the real magic of Class B, is that they offer this fantastic balance of quality and cost with really competitive rents. And that balance, it attracts a huge, diverse range of tenants. We're talking about businesses that are growing, regional firms, accountants, you name it, all sorts of professional services that need a decent professional space, but can't justify that Class A price tag. This is really the engine room of the business world. For investors, that higher cap rate, now we're in the 6 to 8% range, that really reflects a sweet spot. Yeah, there's a little more risk than with a Class A building, but there's also the potential for a much better return. This is the space where investors are always hunting for those value-add opportunities, and we'll get to what that means in just a minute. And that brings us to our final category, Class C. So to finish our car analogy, think of this as the project car. You know, it's old, it definitely needs some work, it's not exactly pretty, but for the right person with the right vision, it holds a ton of potential. It's a bit of a gamble, for sure. These buildings are usually over 30 years old, and you can tell. They're often in less desirable areas with outdated systems and very few, if any, modern amenities. Let's be real, they compete on one thing and one thing only: being the cheapest option available. But that low price, that's its superpower. It's exactly what makes Class C so vital. It's the perfect home for startups, for small businesses, for back office operations, where literally every single dollar counts. That affordable rent lets them pour their cash into growing the business instead of into fancy overhead. And that leads us to the investment story. Look at that cap rate, 8, 10, maybe even 12% or higher. That number is screaming high risk, but it's also promising the highest potential return. An investor buying a Class C building is making a bet. They're betting they can tackle the challenges and unlock some serious hidden value. So let's just lay it all out side by side for a second. It's pretty clear, right? You can see the whole progression. As a building gets older, the rent it can command goes down, but the investment risk goes up. And the strategy for an investor completely changes, from just collecting stable income on a Class A, to looking for a value add play in a Class B, to a complete repositioning or overhaul for a Class C. Okay, so now you get the basics of A, B, and C. You've cracked the first level of the code, but the real pros, they know that these labels aren't set in stone. So now let's get into the dynamics, the stuff that really makes the market tick. See, buildings have a natural life cycle. A property might open its doors as this gleaming, perfect Class A tower, but if no one reinvests in it, time just takes its toll. 15 years later, it's probably a solid Class B. Fast forward another 15 years, and without major upgrades, it could easily be a Class C. It's like a slow, steady escalator heading down. But what if you could run up that downward escalator? Well, that is the value add play we mentioned. An investor finds an aging Class B or C building, they pump a bunch of money into smart renovations, a new lobby, modern HVAC, better amenities, and they basically turn back time. They can push that property right back up the classification ladder, which lets them attract better tenants and charge higher rents. It's a brilliant move. The overall economy plays a huge role in this too. When times are uncertain and businesses get nervous, we see something called a flight to quality. Companies start ditching their riskier leases and move into the safety and stability of Class A buildings. But on the flip side, when the economy is booming, companies are more willing to take a chance on more affordable Class B and C spaces to keep costs down while they expand. And here it is. This might be the most important role of the entire code. Context is everything. These A, B, and C labels are totally relative to their specific market. The best, most beautiful office building in a small town, it would probably only be considered a Class B if you could magically pick it up and drop it in the middle of downtown Manhattan. It's all about what it's being compared to. So, after all this, why does it matter so much? Simple. Money. At the end of the day, this code has a massive impact on the bottom line. In the very same market, a Class A building can easily charge 30, 40, even 50% more in rent than a Class C building. That is a gigantic difference. All right, let's recap the code one last time. Class A, premium stuff, lowest risk. Class B, the balanced, everyday workhorse. Class C, the risky opportunity play. And the biggest takeaway of all? This code is alive, it's dynamic. A building's class isn't a permanent tattoo, it can and does change with time and money. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? We use these labels, A, B, C, to describe what a building is right now, today. But for any smart investor, or even just a curious person looking at a skyline, the real question isn't about the label it has now. It's about figuring out if its true value lies in what it used to be, or in what it could one day become.